Welcome to yet another edition of Delhi Defense Review's Indigenization Appreciation Hour with me, Saurav Jha. Glad to be here. And I'm sure you're glad that I'm here too. Well, I'm assuming. Anyway, let's get to the questions. So we got plenty of questions today, but first I must say something that I would be very grateful if all of you could subscribe and spread the word about our channel and ask others to subscribe, because we do want more subscribers and we want your support as well. So let me get to the questions. Okay, so we have a question from John. He asks, can AIP succeed in land trials but fail in sea trials? Very unlikely, because you see, the whole point of developing a land-based prototype is you've developed a marinized version of it so that it can pass the kind of shock and vibration trials that it will be put through while if put on a naval platform or on basically a submarine. So it's been designed, it's ruggedized enough to be able to pass those sea trials, and tests have been done. Shock and vibration tests have been done on land-based test platforms and stuff like that. And obviously, and a lot of work has gone into marinizing these PAFC stacks. And they are basically cocoon structured stacks, and they are connected to each other. They are also they are parallelly connected to each other. So even if one stack fails, it's not as if the entire all the stacks become useless simultaneously, or all the remaining stacks. The others then can function, having segued away that stack, and the others can continue to function as a unit. So there are many features are there. Then there are a lot of stuff has gone into siloxane, stuff like that, basically to ensure water retention, to increase the service life of the PAFC modules. Then, of course, maintaining the right electrolytic balance in the face of all kinds of pitch and yaw and all that. So all that has been done. So I don't think it will fail in sea trials. It won't. Okay, next question. Amrita Thakur asks, can the range of Atax be increased to 100 km by the use of rocket-assisted shells? By the use of Ramjet-powered shells, certainly. Even, given that Atax managed 48 kilometers with ERFB base bleed, and that was in the desert, it can probably manage 60 kilometers anyway in the mountains at altitude. And a rocket-assisted projectile could probably make it to 100, probably. And a Ramjet powered shell would probably make it further, but I'm talking about at altitude. Okay, let's go to another question. Shadow Fury. Where does India stand in electronic warfare capabilities in the world? Is France, okay, there are plenty of questions. Is France more suitable partner in development of jet engine tech than UK? If yes, then why? India has actually done well in electronic warfare systems. I won't go into details because of the nature of what we are talking about, but be rest assured that our systems are quite contemporary. And unlike, say, was the case with the Samyukta, a lot of the hardware has now been indigenized. The software is, of course, indigenous. Okay, and your next question was, is France a more suitable partner? Let's see. But, as I have commented in the past as well, the infra, you had seen those slides about the infra engine, and I said that, that gives an indication of what is to come. So I think talks have progressed well, and as I have said before also, that an SPV was going to be set up for this, and a separate SPV for the AMCA program. Anyway, next question. Seber Defo says, sir, what are the fifth generation technologies Mark II will take from AMCA? Is there any fifth generation technology which DRDO is struggling to master? Not anymore, I think. Of course, I'm keeping aside the engine tech itself. So, we don't have anywhere near fifth generation engine technology, which we will get, I guess, in the next 7 years. We'll get there. What kind of displays, some of the sensor fusion kind of, the sensor fusion aspects, those are going to get ported back. The kind of mission computer you're going to use, those sorts of things. Okay, next question. The Solar. So what about new AMCA sensors? Will there be two of it? As I've said before, it's not exactly going to be like the, if you're talking about the infrared sort of sensors or the electro-optical targeting system, It's not going to be exactly like a distributed aperture system on a F-35, nor is it going to be a Russian-style IRST. It's going to be something, in the middle. Next. Kalyan Pramanik asks, has Nirbhay flown 1,000 km plus with Manik engine? Why Nirbhay doesn't test fire Nirbhay frequently like BrahMos? You would have heard about that. I won't comment on whether it has flown that long or not with the Manik engine. It has flown that much with a Russian turbojet, as we know. Why DRDO doesn't test fire Nirbhay frequently like BrahMos? You don't know whether it does or doesn't. Not all tests are announced. Okay, next question. But I'll say one more thing. There is DRDO follows a strategy which is unlike what, say, the North Koreans follow, who are into plenty of all-up tests. DRDO likes to do these, tests only after it is certain that it has done enough diagnostics on the last test. So there's a difference in approach over there. Okay, next question. We have a question from Vikram Jhatwal. How does Astra Mark II compare to AIM 120D in terms of range, EC and ECCM capabilities? In terms of range, Astra Mark II is capable of 160 kilometers. So you can compare that with the AIM 120D variant. EC and ECCM, I think it has pretty good ECCM. I think it's ECCM, but then I can't go into details, nor is there any point, right? And its seeker will be quite, refined. So yes, the Americans with their AIM 120D will have an advantage in terms of the front end because, we are still a little behind them over there, but we are getting there quickly. Okay, Raj Reddy asks, AMCA would need a next-gen manufacturing capability to achieve the panel gaps. Does HAL have that capability? Also, can we ever see LCA Mark III with AMCA sensors? LCA Mark III, I don't think we'll see LCA Mark III per se. I mean, you may see something like an Tejas equivalent of the J10C with maybe some thrust vectoring, maybe. As far as the AMCA's manufacturing capability, obviously better, finer tolerances, just removing panel gaps to the greatest extent possible. So the investments are going to be made in a new facility. That is what the SPV is being set up for. Okay, next question. Shibon Mondolas, were we stuck with our jet engine program? Future of Indian jet engine program. Stuck as in we needed foreign help, and you're going to see that collaboration getting firmed up soon. Future is simple. We are going to get a 125 kN engine developed in a JV with probably Safran, but let them announce that. Don't take this as the word of God in any way. And so let's see. And I think by 2029 we'll have a working engine, which will have a very, very significant, and in terms of MTBO and MTBF, it will be something that we can actually use. Okay, next question. We have Arnab Chatterjee asking, which technologies does India not possess yet that will enable us to make 110 kN engine ourselves? Given that SCB has already been developed, I guess. Yes, SCB has been developed. Better than second generation SCBs have been developed. But there are many other facets as well. We will run a detailed series on DDR, on engine technology, which we have been following closely. And that will suffice to answer this question. Otherwise, it will take up too much time right now. Next question. Let's go to something else. Okay. Uchav Mukhati asks, what is the status of Ramjet assisted artillery shell being developed in collaboration with IIT Chennai? We haven't heard. We have a video on this on DDR's YouTube channel. You may have seen it. You may want to look at it again. It probably has made progress, but we haven't heard of any tests yet. At least I haven't. Okay. We don't know if it's in testing or not. Next question. Venom asks, as always on time, nice. Well, I try to be punctual, although we did have a kerfuffle with the connectivity once. That was 2 weeks ago. Anyway, Aditya Prakash, hi Saurav, would you be in favor of breaking up HAL into 4 separate companies? No, I won't. HAL will not work as if we break it up into 4 separate companies like this. There's no point. HAL makes sense if you have all these divisions under one roof, working with each other. See, the problem with breaking up OFB into 7 companies is also this. Earlier, it just used to be departments with interdepartmental accounting. Now you have separate corporations. They have to enter into new MOUs with each other. They have to basically do a lot of haggling before they arrive at the sort of price structure and all cost structure and all those things. A lot of issues that are happening. I would not recommend this at all. Next question. Desi fact, sir. RAM status on Kaveri engine. Is it working in limited success? RAM status. Well, no. Let's not get into this now. Okay. Viva says, does Nag missile have a NLOS variant in development? No, the non-line of sight variant, something else is going to be the non-line of sight anti-tank missile. I think you know what it is. Anyway, the ground launch variant will be non-line of sight. Okay. HAL 2021, are Russian dalals going to be replaced with EU American dalals? Or finally the Indian military has gotten the message on indigenization? Next question. Vinita, when can India develop an indigenous SSN? Why do we need foreign JV for a SSK? This is the $1 million question, isn't it? It just keeps popping up back and again. I think we'll develop. See, I'll tell you. If we are willing to go with what we already have from the Arihant program, we can probably develop an indigenous SSN and have it commissioned in 9 years' time, is my view. All right. And as far as SSK is concerned, it comes down to the same thing. Gap between panels, the kind of stealthiness you can achieve with indigenous fabrication, the form and fit that you need. Whether you have to package everything into a much smaller, you have to put everything into a much smaller package. Those are the questions which are raised. System integration. So the question will be, can we integrate an SSK that will be stealthy enough? Maybe, because I know for a fact that DRDO had proposed the development of an indigenous SSK, but that was shot down in favor of foreign collaboration. Maybe it will be revived again given the kind of state Project 75I is in. Okay. We have another question. Okay, Vinita's next question. Oh, no, that was Vinita's question. I've answered that. Okay, Hari Krishna Das asks, any update on Chakra 3 SSN? No, nothing beyond what has already been reported. Okay, next question. Hiroxina asks, how to visit Def Expo 2022? Can you show how to register for it? You should go to the website. You will see there are all kinds of, visitor. There must be a visitor tab over there. And you can be a business visitor. You can pay to be a business visitor, or you can have a day pass. They have various, categories. You can just go there, visit that. Anyway, as you know, Def Expo has been postponed for the time being. Okay, Fusion Famous. One thing is clear, WW2 machine tanks are obsolete. Definitely rather building new tank, focus on ATGM technology. What say? Now, again, I said the role and place of the tank will change. Yes, we are talking about the current conflict. Russian tanks have suffered quite a bit in the sense that, there was this one piece of news which said that apparently 280 javelins out of 300 had found their mark during the Ukraine conflict. So let's say, but I won't. There are developments that are happening in active protection systems. There are developments which are happening in netted active protection systems. There are developments which are happening in the area of protecting tanks from top attack missiles, like top attack ATGMs. So I wouldn't say that mobile firepower system that the tank is cannot be discounted so readily. But this is a separate, very long discussion. Let's go to other questions. Elron Skywalker. Where does India stand in cybersecurity compared to other world powers? India has actually improved quite a bit. But cyber resilience is a continuous process. You can never say that, are we doing well? Are we doing well? You can't ask these questions. We are all right. Better. I think we were top 10 in some assessment made last year. Okay, next. We were 10th, actually. We were in the top 10, so to speak. Right. So the next question is from Aditya Prakash. Can we retrofit the DRDO AIP across our SSK subfleet? It's actually it's tailored to the Project 75, basically the Scorpion Kalvari class. But yes, but then the stacks themselves are modular, so maybe it can be with some more engineering work. Okay, Hemant Swami. Hello, sir. What are our lessons learned from the current war? Based on current weapon inventory for next 5 years, can China try something similar? Not just in the next 5 years. the thing about it is, a lot of people keep talking about Taiwan. China does not have the capability to take on 3+1 US carrier strike groups, plus the Japanese, plus the Taiwanese themselves, and mount a successful air and amphibious landing on Taiwan. They are just not going to attempt it. Just not. Okay. What they are, but the problem is that in the Himalayas, the matter is different. In the Himalayas, there are places which have now become tank countries, so to speak, and they are uninhabited. Okay, there's nothing by way of habitation over there. They are basically cold deserts in the Ladakh sector. And then there are other sectors like the fishtail area and other places in the in far eastern Arunachal Pradesh, which are basically, basically lack connectivity. So, going by the Sun Tzu principle of fighting the enemy where they aren't, the Chinese think that, that a shallow grab of territory in the Himalayas, which will be followed up by massive posturing by them, may seem to them a more doable proposition than an all-out assault on Taiwan. Okay, this is something that I've been harping on continuously. And you would be happy to note that the Indian Army is taking this matter quite seriously, as they have as their comments today show, which they have released to the media, and they are conducting an airborne exercise near the Siliguri corridor. Bottom line is, why I keep harping on this is because they might be tempted, for the simple reason that if things go bad for them, they would be able to hide it also. It's like it won't be so simple to prove that that things are not going their way. And the other thing is, they think that they might be able to stay below our threshold, which is why I'm saying that we need to disabuse them of this matter. They should understand that if they attempt any such trick again, we will also go into places where they are vulnerable. And that is why now we have 2 mountain strike corps pointed at them. All I will say is a lot of things have been done. They need to be expedited even further. For instance, 14 corps should be provisioned with the best equipment. It should at least be brought on par with 15 corps, which has the best infantry equipment in the Indian Army. The same should be done for 3 and 4 corps as well. And of course for the 1 strike corps, which is now targeted at the LAC. So we should just bring people up to speed. We should incorporate as much mobile firepower as we can. We should have ECWS, basically extreme weather clothing proliferate through our entire mountain strike forces. And we should also basically expedite the creation of the integrated rocket force. Because if you've seen this conflict in Ukraine, the Russians are launching about 24 missiles every day, cruise and ballistic put together. And they've launched up to 500 by now, and they've made a difference. Those strikes have made a difference. So the Ukrainians had also started investing in some ballistic missiles and stuff like that. They had a few, but they don't have them in mass, right? They don't have them in mass. What we need, so we need both mass and precision. See, the point is we need to be able to deter China and play the intelligence game with them along the Himalayan frontier. That is where we will gain. That is how we will, win the Cold War that has already started with them. And that will also ensure that they cannot, temper what we are doing below the threshold ourselves. That they cannot threaten to escalate because they won't have escalation dominance. That is what we have to strive for. Anyway, next question. We have a question here is Osler. How viable is TED-BF when requirement is only 60 to 100 jets? Quite viable. How many LCAs have you produced till date anyway? How many Tejas Mark 1As have you produced? There are going to be exports as well of the TED-BF. Anyway, and also remember one thing. A lot of the design and development work for the TED-BF has already got amortized in other programs. And we are going to be reusing a whole bunch of systems, subsystems and components from the Tejas and AMCA programs in the TED-BF. So it is viable. Okay, next question. Status on NAL regional transport aircraft. There's nothing to talk about right now. Later maybe. Ashish asks, Akash 1S active radar seeker in service or still testing? No, testing is over. The Akash 1S was the program that fed into what is the Akash Prime. which will have a seeker and is meant for deployment in the high altitude areas. The 3rd and 4th Regiment of the Indian Army will be basically Akash Prime. Can old Akash launcher? Yes, obviously. Can the old Akash launcher fire those new missiles? Certainly, absolutely. It's basically the same missile which has been modified. Of course, there are components have been refurbished and there are other issues, there are other things as well. Okay, next question. Copsis GX. What is the actual output of the upcoming high thrust aero engine? 110 or 125? Or is it 125 kN but expected to produce 110 in Indian conditions? Let's go with 110 to 125. Okay. Next question is Vishwanath D. We ask, right. Vishwanath D is asking, where do we have Vishwanath? Okay, we have, I think I've had to scroll down greatly. Okay, Vishwanath D is asking, Namaste. Namaste to you as well. Seeing how many earlier problems have been dealt with in the Kaveri program, is the possibility of Kaveri making a return in new form, perhaps in Tejas itself? Well, yeah, if you get that JV SPV going for the 110 to 125 kN LBTF, the sort of one of the gains from it would be that you might just get a flyable version of the Kaveri. You might. So this is not completely off the cards. What you are suggesting here, that we may yet see a Kaveri fly in a Tejas sort of Tejas platform, on a Tejas or powered a Tejas platform. Okay, Shivam Dubey asks, so any progress in India nuclear weapons number, China planning 1,000 in 2030? We cannot comment on this, as we have said before as well. Okay. It's rocket science asks, sir, both Adhd and Navy says TED-BF will fly in 2026. So why do you always say a 2029 timeline? Where have they said 2026? I'll stick with the 2029 timeline. Okay, let's go with it. I mean, 2029 time. Oh, let me just clarify. 2020 by 2029. I think I'll just need to clarify this. By 2029, all the TED-BF prototypes will be flying. Let's put it that way. Okay, next question. Sax, is Tejas a good dogfighter? What is AOA and how crucial can it get at the most? And what's good AOA for a I think Tejas's AOA is well described. The kind you've seen it being displayed during those low-speed runs at various air shows. That is basically exhibiting its AOA capability only, and I think it has a superior AOA to most fighters out there, most aircraft out there. Right? There was that paper written on flutter testing by B. Harry. You might want to see that as well. Okay, next question. Unseen. Sir, are these Make One projects joint development between DRDO and industry? They may or may not be. See, Make One under the defense acquisition procedure is basically where a case where a development agency, which may be more than one, is forwarded 70% of the prototype development cost, or 250 crores, whichever is less, basically, right? And they can choose anybody else as their design partner, but it will be progressed under IDDM. So IDDM will require that the the system is designed, developed and built in India and has 60% IC, has at least 50% IC, or it has 60% IC even if it is not designed, developed and built in India. So anyway, so it has to have a very high amount of indigenous, its indigenous component has to be very high, over 50% by cost, basically. Next question is, let's go with the next question. We have Vivash asking, why MPATGM range is half of its contemporary counterparts like MMPT, or is it exactly the same as MMPT or Spike LR2? And don't think that there won't be an MPATGM2. You will see that as well. I know you'll say, why is it only 2.8? It's not half, it's 2.8 kilometers and that is 4, right? So it's around 70%, it's not half. Anyway, so let's go with the next one. Sahil Negi asks, why does the Indian Army still use outdated L-70 when private companies are offering better CIWs and AA guns? It's a matter of cost prioritization. See, L-70, it's using upgraded L-70s and many of them have been upgraded and more are being upgraded. So it's a very cost-effective solution to just upgrade the L-70, which is quite useful even now. That is the reason. Sarang Kulkarni asks, any comparison between Turkey's drone program versus India? Well, obviously Turkey's drone program has done better than India's till date, but that is going to change now. And the other thing is that unlike Turkey's drone program, we have already indigenized most of the components of our own drones. And we are indigenizing the engines as well. Has Turkey managed to indigenize the engine properly yet? No. They are working on it, but let's see. Okay, Saptarshi DJ asks, with recent accidents of F-35, does it show the 5th gen fighters are not mature enough for carrier operations? I won't jump to such a conclusion just yet. Okay, next question. Dhruv Raman Singh, is there a risk Pakistan gets 5th generation fighter before India through sale by China or through TFX program of Turkey? You can forget about the TFX program. You wake me up when it sees light of day. And what will it get? FC-31 from China? It will be a major headache for the Pakistan Air Force, even if they are foolish enough to take it on. And J-20 will not be given by China to them. Okay, next question. Monal Patel asks. Okay, Sagar Bhavsar asks, what should be the backup plan of G404 engine in case of Gatsa? There is a backup plan. I've talked about the contingency plan before. All right. Okay. Monal Patel says, good evening, Saurav. Who do you think will be the partner in AMCA, L&T or TASL? Let's see. Let's not prejudge this. The tender is out for certain structures. Let's see who gets it. Okay, and Lakshmi Shah KS, of course, sends 200 rupees, which I am very grateful for. Others may want to follow suit and use the super sticker option at the bottom. Right. So let's go to the next question. Okay, 007 YMM says, what's up with the cancellation of events? Chini bullying. No, not Chini bullying, but yes, the cancellation of various events is a little, is a little, I wouldn't say egregious, but yes, it does stand out, doesn't it? See, given that, we are sending planes to get students out of Ukraine and all, I don't think we want to flog our transport. We want to, I think we are preparing. So maybe not, but China can't bully us too much, provided we stand firm, especially the top leadership. Okay, next question. Agam Chadha. Will India sell naval platforms to other countries like INS Vishakhapatnam? Well, India has tried to sell corvettes and all to Philippines, but the South Koreans have won out over there. I think we want to start with corvettes and light frigates before we move on to something like a full-blown DDG, missile armed destroyer. So anyway, next thing is Shukran Chatrat says, good evening, sir. Yeah, good evening to you as well. Ashish Chawla says, hi, sir. Hi to you as well. Next questions. Raghav's the status of our IBGs and theaterization. I think the Mountain Strike Corps has already trialed IBGs in exercise Him Shakti. So, IBGization is happening. Theaterization is also a work in progress. Let the military announce what it achieves, when it achieves, what it does. Shukran Charat. Okay, we go down next. Okay. Just let me go scroll up again. Shukran Chatratas. Everyone talks about the MK2 and AMCA. Why is no one talking about the status of the Mark 1A? Even the prototype still hasn't flown, but will fly soon this year. It will fly soon. It will fly this year. Okay, next question. We have a question from Lakshmi Shah KS. Hi, Saurav. Could drones become powerful to carry people to be used to occupy unmanned peaks in a decade? Sort of quadcopter drone. There was that whole Tata and Israeli aeronautics program for K-SWAC. There was a K-SWAC drone that had these ducted fans that they were using, something like that, ruggedized, made more powerful, with batteries meant for operations from various kind of altitudes and stuff like that. Yeah, possible. Not out of the realm of possibility. Could happen. It'll probably be used more for K-SWAC, because to actually carry fully combat loaded soldiers, even say 2 at a time, will be quite difficult. A helicopter is there for that. Of course, you could have an unmanned helicopter, but would you trust an unmanned helicopter to deploy troops? I mean, what is the point in having an unmanned helicopter in that? Well, you could say that, we will save up on pilots who might be needed elsewhere. Yeah, well, if you have an unmanned, say, LUH, you could possibly in the future achieve something like this. Possibly. Okay. Next question. Agam Chadha. Will we sell naval ships to other countries, the one we make? I think I have just answered this. Next question is from Garvit Chawla. Hello, sir. Where is the development of the what is the status of the development of Tejas Mark II, and in what numbers is the IF looking for the Mark II and the AMCA? I think the numbers are out there already. I think you are going to look at least 6 squadrons of the Mark II and 6 squadrons of the AMCA. 2 squadrons of AMCA Mark I and 4 squadrons of AMCA Mark II. This is the baseline. Next question. So we have a question over here. We have a question from Ashish Chawla. Is it possible that Adhd class submarine is a nuclear reactor fitted in a Kiloglass size submarine, because its pictures of the hull both looks very similar and length is... No, that's not true. Come on. That's not the case at all. It displaces much more, and there's even enough open source analysis on this. It's not at all. Its shape is also quite different. So let's not say that it's just a Kiloglass submarine or even an enlarged Kilo. It's not. It's much more than that. Anyway, Abhay Bisht said, do you believe that one day India will be a major military power in future? Yeah, I think so. Provided it sticks to the path of indigenization, which it has now embarked on. Ayush Singh. So what is the future of Quad and future geopolitics? Future of Quad, well, you can see what the future of Quad is. I have said this again and again. Unless you are in a hard alliance, these things mean little. Quads, if Quad helps India economically, then also I'll take it. In fact, I have been an advocate of closer economic ties with the Americans before we move into even closer military ties with them. And despite the $100 billion plus in trade and all that, our economic ties are still not close enough. They did much more for China, however much some people may discount it. Okay, and the other question is that what is the future of Quad? Well, I think Quad may move into those directions. It may move into the more geo-economic kind of setup. Because unless you have a hard alliance, there's no point. Right? See, India is in some ways already a major military power, but it has to indigenize so that, you can sustain conflict. The fact is that, yes, the Russians were not able to knock out Ukraine in that lightning strike, which initially I thought they may have been able to, but they were not able to. But they are going to be able to sustain a campaign. Even with the size of their ground forces and whatever, they'll be able to sustain. And that is because they have reserves in terms of equipment, in terms of inventory. They can make good losses. You need to have your own inventory, your own design, developed and built inventory, if you want to be a truly serious power. Okay, next question. Ayush Singh asks, what is your opinion on the 28mm chip by Vedanta and sodium-ion batteries by Naval? I think both will come to fruition. Let's see. Okay. Pankaj Ved is saying crackers in your audio, sir. Oh, I'm sorry for it. I don't know. Something must be happening. Let me pull this a little closer. Let's go in here. Okay. Bhattitadi asks, Tonmo makes many products. Do you know if they all sell, or can you get an interview with them? They seem to be the best defense startup in India. They sell, as in sell to the civilian public. You should check out their website if they do that. They are certainly a remarkable startup. I would go with that, no doubt. We have interviews. We don't know. I mean, we are more of a think tank now. Then our outlook is more on the think tank side of things. We could obviously interview them as an interesting startup. Let's see. Okay, Buddy Tati asks, we might bring them on this program. Any info on the iStar program? Is US going to help? This is one of the programs that will happen under DTTI, and I think it is progressing as well. You will see both the Indian Air Force will get some units. It's going to be interesting. This is probably going to be the most successful Indo-US program of this decade. Or maybe if the Americans think that we have already risen have crossed certain technological thresholds, they may be forthcoming for more interesting projects as well. Okay, next question. We have a question from, let me go down here. We have a question from Pankaj Vijay says, please don't shake the mic. Okay, I won't. Akhil Mehta, Sachs asks, so what one thing should be done in Indian defense industry to speed the indigenization process? Is it more R&D budget or more into education institute that would groom the more young scientists? It is all of these. But the main thing that you need is basically ownership of indigenous projects. You can't have a situation where there's a passing the parcel between the developer and the user and the bureaucrats and the politicians. You need to have a setup where the agenda is that this has to succeed. We are going to get what we want. The military is in control of the program. It gets to tell the scientists and industry what it wants, but also knows very well that it wants this project only, that there are no alternatives. That is the sort of setup you need. Now, there are a lot of people who say, but if you put the military on top of DRDO, they're going to flog them to death. I don't think so. I don't think it's so simple. There are going to be checks and balances everywhere. Okay. Or you put DRDO on top of industry and you let DRDO run the show then. Let DRDO deliver products. Production as well is overseen by DRDO. Let that happen then. Or you create some kind of a hybrid between the military and DRDO, like you used to in the late 60s and early 70s. But you have to do something. Okay, I'm shaking the mic, I won't. Okay, next question. Akhil Mehta asks, any impact of Ukraine crisis on Russian military equipment, India looking to purchase on order? As of now, no. If they put CATSA on India, then of course India will need other workarounds. But whatever is current or ongoing will not be affected that much because there are, again, contingencies are in place. Even barter trade may be on the cards. Next. What do you call that? Let's get amazed asks, when should we expect Rustam 2 in weaponized condition with armed forces? Heard it somewhere in final trials. Rustam 2 is not being weaponized. There's a new version of the Rustam 1 which has been weaponized called the Archer UAV. You'll see that. It's also called SR UAV. So you'll see that in service probably. Rustam 2 will first have to prove itself as a ISR drone. But there is another drone that is being developed and another. So you'll see more of this. I told you this in the next 2-3 years, this talk of are we behind in drone technology will not be said anymore. We will not be behind. Okay, the next question is this. Hari Krishna Das asks, sir, AMC as EOTS has similar capabilities of lightning 4-pod, sir, Indian Air Force currently use. Does it have the same capabilities as the lightning 4-pod you're asking? Let's see what happens. Let's not jump the gun on this either. Ravi Nair. Okay, this has got scrolled down. Let me scroll down again. I see not too many of you are in the mood today to use the super sticker, it seems, and contribute to our program. Anyway, at least subscribe and ask others too. Next question. Let's go with this. We've got plenty of questions here. We've got that. We have a question from Shayan Roy. He asks, your assessment of Arjun Mark 1A against T90 MSM and upgraded T72 is Arjun superior in most fields apart from weight. Arjun Mark 1A is superior. Apart from weight, obviously. Arjun Mark 1A is superior to these tanks. Next question. Swakal asks, sir, when will India become $10 trillion economy? Bigger economy is best defense and we should have alternative for Microsoft OS, Apple, Android OS, else we are slave of the West. Okay, if you look at it now, India is a $3.2 trillion economy. This is the nominal GDP of India at current exchange rates. Say we start growing at our nominal GDP grows at 11% with 7% real GDP and 4+% inflation for the next around say 8 years. So 1.11 raised to the power of 8. Probably that will take us to what? 2.5. That will take us to maybe 8.2, 8.3 trillion, right? Now, suppose the rupee appreciates by 30%, we'll get there. So those factors will have to come into play. So we'll have to grow at our nominal GDP. Will have to grow at 11% plus to even get to 8.2, 8.3 trillion. Right? So next question. Atin Banerjee asks, Saurav Babu, Namaskar. Dhanyavad for conducting this event more regularly. Dhanyavad to you as well. And do please tell others to support this program as well, so that it makes it easier for us to conduct this program more regularly. We also are, after all, humans. We also have to follow the laws of nature and the laws of the economy. Okay, next question. We have a question right here again. We have the Soul asking, so how much time would it take for India to develop something like X400? Not much. The XR-SAM is going to be the beginning of that. The XR-SAM that you're going to see soon enough you'll find it talked about quite a bit. It's going to be a precursor to an S400 type system altogether, because there will be a follow-on to that as well. So not far away at all. You see, you'll note something. At one time, it was projected that 12 regiments, or 12 squadrons rather, 12 squadrons of the S-400 will be inducted. But then that was changed to whittle down to 5. Now, of course, apart from the cost, the other reason was that we had something in the offing as well. And I think those 7, that requirement of 7 more top-end surface-to-air missile systems will be filled by the XR-SAM family. This is my view, though. Okay, next question. We have a question from here. We go into this. We go down here. We go down. We go down. Prashant Singh Sisodia asks, so why are countries moving towards MIRV instead of single megaton yield bomb? Because of BMD systems, because of ballistic missile defense systems, which have improved and matured considerably. You see, the path of a non-maneuvering re-entry vehicle launched from a ballistic missile is now quite predictable and can be intercepted by more than 4 or 5 different countries now. So you need MIRVs. If you can make all of the MIRVs maneuvering as well, then even better, more fun. Okay, Atin Banji says, please keep this going now that you have regained health and vigor. I will, with your support, as I keep saying. So next question, Aman Rautre. Okay, I've answered one of Aman's questions, so I'll have to take the others before I can circle back. Kshitij Kumar asks, what will be the 1-to-1 replacement if Su-30, when they retire, will we see Orca for it? This is actually a good question, because the Su-30 MK has given the Air Force a lot of things, It's basically a mini bomber. It is a mini AVAX also, and with the Uttam derivative that we are going to put on it, it's going to become something quite remarkable. So yes, maybe one day we'll see something. We'll see an enlarged version of the AMCA, maybe taking it on our own 6th generation fighter with a much bigger missile bay and much greater underwing payload capability. Okay, next question. Let's go in here. We have a question here. We have Rohit asking, are you seeing the development of a civil-military fusion to make an industrial complex kind of a setup for India? Military-industrial complex, you mean? Is it at least an implicit goal of government policy currently? Well, it should be. It is probably. We need a military-industrial complex. However, whatever the taboos might be associated with that world, but we can't do anything. We unfortunately cannot avoid it. This world, the way you are seeing which direction this world is headed, and unless you are strong, people are not going to listen to you. In fact, I'll say one thing over here, that Prime Minister Modi can actually do more in the Russia-Ukraine conflict than he's doing at the moment. I think he does have the cachet with both Russia and Ukraine to be an honest mediator. If you ask my view of things, I would say that, the longer this war goes on, it doesn't help Russia, and obviously not Ukraine, whose people are suffering terribly. The best could be India could propose something where it, says that let us agree to a setup where Russia guarantees Ukraine's territorial integrity in return for Ukrainian guarantees to Russia on the security side. NATO not allowing its territory to be used for any other kinds of activities, demilitarization, a peace agreement in the Donbass, and autonomy given to various Ukrainian oblasts and stuff like that. And maybe even Crimea could be returned to them, and Indian peacekeepers, whether under a blue helmet or otherwise, a small contingent can be deployed for monitoring and for keeping the peace in only certain parts. Now, these kinds of thoughts, don't come naturally to our setup, which is always looking internally. But I think this is one place where India can project itself. Just like, if the Russians, we can play the same role that the Russians played during the Shimla Accord in 1971 between Russia and Ukraine. Because see, Russia, even if it ends up capturing the whole left bank, it's not going to be easy to keep the peace there, because the Ukrainians have now developed a sense of nationality. It's not going to be so easy to say, oh, you're just like us, and especially now with all that is going on. So everybody has to be, has to dial back, and all that is happening is that Russia's enemies are getting a tremendous chance to vilify it. You see, because this is exactly what they wanted. They wanted it to get sparked. Then they would do nothing to help Ukraine, and they would make Russia basically look extremely villainous. I don't think this is a path India's friends, which includes both Russia and Ukraine, should go down any further. I think India should now intervene in the interests of peace. And that is going to make a difference to India's standing in the world. Okay, next question. There must be a reason why the Ukrainian ambassador also kept saying that, Modi ji has a lot of cachet, he should talk to Putin and stuff like that. I don't think those were idle words. Okay, next question. And one last thing, given that Zelensky is now a kind of a hero in Ukraine, he will have the political cachet, internal political cachet, to actually hammer out a deal also. So this is the right time to talk and not keep on fighting over there. Next question. Okay, we go down here. We have a question from... we have some people sending in their best wishes to us via the super sticker, and I am grateful to them. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your appreciation. Next question comes in is... we've taken our circle to these. Suryansh Chaudhary asks, what's the status of integrated missile defense system? There are reports we are going with the American system. How we integrate Rus, and then how do we integrate a Russian origin system? And are we going with the indigenous system? We are not going with American systems anymore. I don't think you're going to see THAAD or NASAMS or anything. So we are going to have an indigenous air and missile defense system. I think as far as the S-400 is concerned, we must have got both the compiler and the executable files. This is my view. Okay, given how much has been paid upfront for the system. So we should be able to integrate it with our other systems to a degree. We will definitely work on the software backend. Okay, we have a question from Praveen asking, can PSLV be used for OneWeb launches from now on by privatizing the production of it? Let's see. Production is being privatized, as you have correctly said over here. And the turnaround time of PSLV launches will have to go down appreciably, because, competition is getting fiercer in this space. Okay. Then the question. AB asks, does India have thermonuclear weapons? Well, according to our former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, India ke paas big bum hai. Ankit Kumar Singh asks, so what's the progress on more powerful AF-SPDS rounds? Are we still stuck at Mangoes and AF-SPDS Mark 1? No, we are not. You'll see more developments in this space. DOPT much higher than 600 millimeter type systems you will see in the future. Okay. Next question. Atim Banerjee asks, does Bharat have an independent fusion program, independent from the joint effort in France? Yes, we do have there's an Institute of Plasma Research. I've written an article on the status of India's civil nuclear fusion research. I will share it sometime. Okay. Raj Reddy asks, can we defend with just 3 ACs when Chinese will have 10 plus 15 by 2050s? Let's see how many the Chinese have by 2050 and how many they can operate. We will also have more than 3 by 2050 for sure. Okay, next question. Ayush Singh. So will Russia just become a vassal state of China due to West sanctions? No. If you know anything about the Russian people, they will never become anybody's vassals. If anybody thinks they can be made vassals, they are very wrong. Neither will India become anybody's vassal ever. So if anybody thinks they can pressurize us, browbeat us, and give us all kinds of glop to support something that we don't believe in, it won't happen, as some people are finding out. Okay, next question. Amit Kumar Yadav. If Indian Navy will place order for Rafale F-18 in next 2 to 3 years, will the Indian Navy, basically you're asking, will the Indian Navy place an order for Rafale F-18 in next 2 to 3 years, or will it wait for TED-BF, given that we need to support only 2 aircraft carriers in foreseeable future? I think, this might be linked to war, how they perceive the MiG-29K. If they think that, they need it to be supplemented, they'll probably go ahead with this. They probably will, because they pared down the numbers to 36. TED-BF is still a little out there. Okay. Vrinda Ara. Sir, is the IAF's MWF an Indian Rafale? What's your view on a 5th generation fighter aircraft which reduces operational cost of 5th gen? This was an idea proposed by USAF. You mean a more affordable 5th gen fighter? Well, our AMCA is supposed to be something like that. IF's MWF is the Tejas Mark II or medium weight fighter an Indian Rafale? Well, it has appreciable capabilities. It's definitely an equivalent to the Gripen NG for sure. It's actually exactly, it's pretty much similar. Now, if you think that the Gripen NG is a company, but it will obviously not have the same kind of endurance as the Rafale. But capability-wise, the capabilities will be quite appreciable in the Tejas Mark II. Okay, next question. Frankenstein CS asks, is Embraer still up for sale after Boeing cancelled the deal? C390 Millennium 20 to 25 ton class can replace AN2632 for IF. Recent C295 deal is only for 9 ton class. Actually, C295 is not exactly 9 ton in the sense anyway, but no, the C295 C295 can carry more than AN32. AN32 is not 20-25 ton class. You're talking about C390 is more like a C130J, right? Or like the AN18 as the AN12 basically, the AN12 Cup. It used to be similar to, it's like, these are all in line of the AN12 Cup and stuff like that. So no, AN32 will be replaced by C295 only. We have to develop a 20-ton aircraft. We were supposed to do that with the Russians under the MRTA program, but we all know where that went. Okay, next question. Harish Patel. Why do our GSLV rockets have such less capacity versus SpaceX or French? Well, not quite. Now with the GSLV Mark II is a medium launch vehicle. So, even that is being upgraded. And GSLV Mark III is upgradable to 6.5 ton. And once you have the UMLV family, Unified Modular Launch Vehicle technology, then you will match SpaceX fully. In fact, some of them will be reusable as well. And work on reusable technology, vertical takeoff, vertical landing, reusable rockets is underway. The test vehicle for the crew escape vehicle that is going to be used for a human spaceflight program. So in test, the crew escape vehicle is going to be sent up to a certain suborbital height using a throttleable liquid rockets are always throttleable. So the liquid rocket, and that is going to be the base test vehicle for the development of reusable rocket launch technology in India, rocket technology, and it's in vertical takeoff and vertical landing technology. Okay, next question. Siddharth Sisodia, sir, I'm a noob in this field. From where should I start? Delhi Defense Review, obviously. Read all the material on our website and you will have a fair idea where things start. Okay. Kartika, sir, which are the better armed drone companies in India? Which are the better armed drone companies in India? Are there any at the moment that you can really think of? Apart from, what I call a slaughter bot, where you have a quadcopter and you sling a small arm from it. Why do you say that we would ace Turkey on the drone front? We will ace Turkey because we have indigenized the components and subsystems, which Turkey is struggling to do. So yes, they have shown better system integration than us. They have productionized, etc. But they're still quite dependent on others. And they are struggling to indigenize everything. We have already indigenized. And we are now going to surge forward. You want to hold me to this in the years ahead, in the next 3 to 4 years. Okay. Next question is from Neeraj Gupta. Can the Navy give Sindhu Dhwaj to be used for AIP and lithium-ion battery tech testing? Pose this question to the Navy. I think what we see, the AIP is going to be fitted onto a Scorpion class only. It's going to, maybe they have some barge where they'll test it. Let's see. Harpreet Sira asks, if IAF and IN fighter competitions come down to L1 with IAF choosing F-21 and IN choosing F-18, and the forces end up with two more types, you see there is no provision for common sense DP. This won't happen. In fact, I think now common sense is prevailing in the defense acquisition procedure also, because you can argue that there are so many categories in the defense acquisition program procedure 2020. You have buy, and under buy you have subcategories. You have make, you have design and develop, you have lease, you have, of course, fast track procedure, the favorite of some people. And you also have, what do you call that? You have buy and make. Under make, you have separate categories, stuff like that. Anyway, okay. But F-21, well, anyway, you all know my views on F-21 for the IF, so I won't go there. Shaboni Odhikari asks, what is the status of the submarine launch heavyweight torpedo? You're going to see that being inducted. I think the development of that has progressed quite well. Okay, let me now circle back to various questions, because now we don't have a lot of time left. Hopefully some of you will be able to support us more in the time that remains. Let's go down here. Okay. Well, I'll take this from Amrita Thakur. Will India go for S-500 in the future, or by that time Indian systems would be more than capable of defending against hypersonic system weapons? Well, this work is underway on counter hyperglide weapon systems and all that. Let's see what it yields. Okay, then let me go to another question. I think Kaveri I have answered. These are questions from Arnab Chatterjee. Is any parallel project on the revived Kaveri going on besides proposed JV Saffron? I've answered this. I've written about this also in the past. Okay. Answered these. Aditya Prakashas. I've answered that as well. These I've answered. Let me scroll down. There are questions below as well. Yes. Let me scroll down. Then we have questions here. We have more. Even if you have the highest airlift capacity. Okay, Copsis GX. Even if you have the highest airlift capacity outside of P5, still isn't there a need for expansion of strategic airlift platforms? Fighter squadron numbers according to you by 2035. Yes, the strategic, I think we will end up expanding our strategic airlift pool as well. But are we going to keep doing it by the import route given the state of the world? I think at some point we will have to launch headfirst into developing our own kind of Y-20. Fighter squadron numbers, the Air Force says by 2035 they will reach at least 37 or something, they said officially. But I think we'll have to get there much before that. I think by 2035 we'll have to be in the 50 squadron range, which means that we will really have to increase our production capacity. And obviously it will not be possible to do this with 5th generation fighters. It will be with mostly 4.75 generation fighters. Okay, next question is this. I've answered these questions, these as well, these two. Okay, we have a question from Lakshmi Shah KS. Are we too focused on NATO Russian thinking of North European planes rather than Himalayas? For example, shouldn't we have prioritized light tank over Arjun MBT? Well, that is the thinking now. We have to think about the Himalayas. See, the whole thing was that we had this whole border protocol framework that we had evolved with the Chinese since 1993. And the whole thinking was that nothing major will happen. It's quite clear. The fact is that the Chinese were out on their annual exercises when they decided to come westwards, those same units. And because of COVID restrictions, we were not really there in force. And they presented us with a fait accompli. And then After that, what happened is for all of you to see. See, this cannot be allowed to happen again. So we need to focus on the Himalayan frontier. And this time it should be very clear to them that they will not have escalation dominance and that we will escalate in some other place maybe where they are weak. Because that is what the Himalayan frontier is like. It should be very clear that this time no land grab will go, we'll see this kind of a setup where we just build up to prevent them from coming further forward. We do launch Operation Snow Leopard and also occupy a few peaks. We'll have to do multiple Operation Snow Leopards if it comes to it. This we should be very clear about. Okay. Going to another question. Okay, Ashish Chawla asks, Indian armed forces have been caught napping in Kargil and Ladakh before. Do we have a chance to save Arunachal Pradesh if attacked? I have heard Lieutenant General Panag, he says Indian army will fall in a week. Did Lieutenant General Panag say this about Arunachal Pradesh? Little surprised. Anyway, but let me say what I think. As far as Tawang is concerned, it will not fall in 1 week or anything. It's totally fortified. See, fortifications still play a major role in warfare. Just like you need more long-range vectors, you also need fortifications to protect yourself against missile penetrators and stuff. Our forces are very well dug in various parts of Arunachal Pradesh, but of course there are some places where they are much further back from the main defenses are much further behind the crest line. So if they come forward, then if the Chinese come forward, they may not face a lot of resistance in some places. But all of Arunachal Pradesh will not fall. Is Russia being able to capture Ukraine in a week? It's not being able to, right? And that's the plains. And yes, okay, it's still muddy and slushy and snowy, so their deep maneuver armored squadrons are not being able to go off-road. But imagine that in the Himalayas. Do you think it's going to be that simple? No. I don't think it's going to be. Okay, maybe I'll write something on this, evaluating exactly this issue. Okay, scrolling down again, we have HAL 2021 asking, from where is the 25 billion USD for 114 MRFA going to come from? Will Halwai pay for it? By selling sweets, you mean? Will that impact induction of Tejas Mark II? This is a very good question. This should be posed to the people in government. Where will it come from? Okay. And they should also be asked whether Halwai will pay for it or not. Yeah, actually that's a good idea. Maybe you guys what you should do is you should get a Halwai to host a langar, and a langar where all the others who believe in Halwai join in. And they sort of sell across India and raise the money in 250 years to pay for the 114 MRFA. That's a good idea, actually. Then we have other questions. Okay. Sorry for moving that. But Titati asks, any thoughts on logistics in Indian Army? Are they as bad as Russia is facing right now? Good question. Not for the strike course, no. But in the Himalayas, obviously, given the kind of setup you have, a lot of improvements have to be made. They are being made, but they have to be expedited. Okay. Then, and when I said strike core, I meant for the plains, not in the Himalayas. Okay. Vivash asks, does a 5-meter diameter class engine, okay, like the F119 ID30 WS50, make more sense as it is easier to develop due to low tolerances compared to 4-meter engineering development, as it would allow us to develop? No, it's not so simple. Not simple. Okay. John, was AUKUS response to infra? No. Separate issues. Then the question. Let's go down. Okay, we have new questions. Kumar Singh says, is there any serious situation on LSE sort of as some big events like Vayu Shakti Defense Expo, etc. has been cancelled all of a sudden? See, the situation on the LSE has been serious for 2.5 years, as I've been constantly saying. Okay, I don't say things idly, as you would appreciate. And that a whole bunch of things are being cancelled is something to ponder about. But whether something has already happened or not, we don't know. Let's see what the government says. Okay. But I think the government is cognizant of the situation over there. And I have also been constantly saying on public fora that we need to be vigilant. And I've also talked about that is based on DDR's own research. We also, access satellite imagery and all. And we study the exercise areas in the Tarim Basin and other places. And what we are seeing from the Chinese is that they have increased the tempo of their exercises. The 76th Group Army, which is basically in the Tarim Basin right now, it has been engaging in very serious firepower exercises. More importantly, there are elements of the 81st Group Army, which is from the Central Theatre Command of the PLA, which is also over there in the Tarim Basin, exercising along with the 76th. We are also seeing those brigades which are part of the Tibet military district going out of the one which is in Lhasa, going out for exercises as well. We are also seeing, in a couple of air bases, we've seen that mixed formations of aircrafts are cycling through, in the sense that you have J-20s and Su-27s and J-10s simultaneously at the same airfield. Usually that is not the case with Air Force stations, but we are seeing that. So I'm sure the government, which has far better imagery resources than we can ever manage, is cognizant of the situation. Let us not jump the gun on anything over here. Let's see. Okay, next question. Right, we have more questions here. The last few questions, after which I'll have to leave you guys. I'm sorry. Okay. The Soul asks, sir, why doesn't India use bombers? Is it because of budget or requirements? I think a bit of both. Budgets, definitely. Okay. AB says, you are amazing. So are you. Thank you for the super sticker. And we have Rahul Tiwari saying, how's it going? Not bad. With your support, even better. Thank you. And we have more questions coming in over here, in the sense that, okay. Final few questions now. Okay, Ankit Mahapatra asks, can India provide Taiwan with nuclear ballistic missiles in exchange of complicated semiconductor manufacturing technology? No. We are not a horizontal proliferator or anything. We don't do that. Okay. Next question is Kartik asks, will CATSA happen? What will be the impact to us? Let's see if it happens. But it will destroy Indo-US relations if it happens. Nobody should have any doubts about it. Like I said, Halwai can then do some Halwai-giri and pay for and basically manage the losses. Nirmal Malik asks, so what is the present status of XRSAM? I've answered this earlier during the course of this broadcast. Okay. Ravi Nair asks, will we ever go for strategic bomber? Maybe in the future. Okay, we have another question. We have Vinita asking, sir, is NECMA M88 Safran engine being offered to India for JV, an old concept? Some say so. Is that what is being offered? I'm not so sure. Vinita, what's your view in India creating an alternative to SWIFT system to shield India from unilateral sanctions? See, it's just if you create a payment systems, it won't shield you from sanctions. It can help. But as long as you transact in the dollar, America's oversight will matter. Like, for instance, when they said that Russian FX reserves are frozen, what do they mean? They basically mean all the steps that say the Russian central bank will have to go through to actually short dollars, its own dollars, have been frozen. And that's not just the messaging system. There are going to be sanctions on the broker, say in Frankfurt, says Russia wants to sell some euros and it operates through a broker in Frankfurt. There'll be sanctions on that broker, which is a bank. There'll be sanctions on the transactions of that bank with another counterparty with which it was going to engage in the transaction. So an entire set of things are going to be frozen. So it's not simple. In fact, I'll say one thing. Russia today has 80% of the food that you find in grocery stores in Russia is now from Russia itself. 80% of retail sales of food. Russia has had a lot of success in becoming self-sufficient in food. We are also self-sufficient in food. But our problem is, see, food self-sufficiency requires fertilizers. Fertilizers require hydrocarbons, either naphtha or gas, obviously, by chemical fertilizers. Russia is self-sufficient in fertilizers, in hydrocarbons and food. And it is self-sufficient in weapons. So, while the ruble will fall and they'll be passed through onto inflation rates in Russia, which will increase and all that, overall Russia can disconnect itself and maybe join hands with China and others even more than it does. It will not see a lot of growth, but it will not collapse either, as these people are saying, that it will go into free fall and all that. We are far more vulnerable. Our weapons can be sanctioned, our energy can be sanctioned, and if our energy is sanctioned, then our food is also sanctioned at some level. Okay, because we can. It's true that we produce 50% of our gas and stuff like that. So what are we doing? We are revitalizing various fertilizer plants which are in eastern India. Sindri and all had become moribund. Those are being revitalized now. We also have to switch to naphtha probably as feedstock and use gas. From naphtha, we have to switch to natural gas maybe as feedstock for our fertilizer plants. All these contingencies should now be put in place, in my view, given the tenor of the world. Okay. We have last few questions now. We have a question from Nirmal Malik. He asks, is there a conflict going on between... If there is a... Nirmal Malik asks, if there is a conflict between India and China and our BrahMos gets compromised, what other options do we have to take on the Chinese? Our BrahMos won't get compromised. It won't get. And we have indigenized most of the BrahMos. We can indigenize all of it. It's just because we have a JV with the Russians and we honor the terms of the JV as we honor all our international agreements, that we are not doing it. So it won't get compromised. Subodh Deshpande asks, what is the status of K5 and K6 SLBM? You'll see what the status is. Those were under development. Okay. Shashank Kashyap's engine deal with France when? Apparently soon, according to some people, whether with France or not, watch out for that. But likely France, in my view, only my view. Okay, but let's not jump the gun on that either. Mehul Gohil asks, so what will be GE engine deal in future? GE engine deal will be for it's already there, F414 and HAL is already entered into another agreement. I don't think there'll be any more GE deals. Kapil Agarwal, your thoughts on Germany increasing spending by 100 billion? There, Germany will rise as another great military power, but then it'll have to engage in serious conflict before, that becomes, before all of that can be taken seriously. Because I'll tell you something about Russia also. You can say whatever you like. The Russians, they are not trained. They still have a lot of conscripts. They were not informed properly. Command and control issues are cropping up. Logistics issues. Then, of course, the question of whether there are enough night vision devices in the Russian army because they are doing daytime operations, apparently. Then there are these issues about whether they have proper position navigation timing. All those things are being talked about. But the bottom line is that Russia is now going to be the country with the maximum amount of experience in 21st century warfare all along the spectrum. I'm not talking about the nuclear spectrum, obviously. I hope we never go there, right? Because that would mean the end of the world. Okay, last few. Abhishek Kalea, sir, can you tell us about the Idea Forge and Bharat Forge drone in combat situation? Not at the moment, no. Manish Kumar asks, should India refuse the deal of P90? Which P90 are you talking about? Yeah. Shaboni Adhikari, you're talking about the smaller? Or are you talking about something else? Okay. Then there's somebody asking a question about when will India create a 10-gen fighter like JF-17? Okay, that's a funny question. Anyway, I think JF-17, by the way, has a whole lot of problems. JF-17, although it's being hyped continuously, it has a whole lot of problems in Pakistan Air Force Service. And one day those will be out in the open as well. Puneet Pansari, if China can arm Pakistan with nukes, why can't we arm Vietnam, who has beaten everyone and they have fought? There's no point in arming Vietnam. Vietnam and China are very close to each other now on the economic side of things. And Vietnam is not a question of us arming anybody. It's a question of the people we want to arm, willing to take those arms and willing to fight the way we would like them to fight. That Vietnam is not interested in that. I think Philippines is a better prospect because they are seeing things hotting up far more. Okay, last question of the day. Okay, this question from the soul about whether we need an S-500 has been answered by me a little earlier. Okay, I think there are a few questions coming in. Okay, Ankit Mahat, I've answered this question as well. Okay, Siddharth Sisodia asked, do you think that India should participate in areas of conflict? Because according to me, USA and other countries certainly gain a lot of knowledge from war. They have far superior weapons than us. You see, like I said just a second ago, I answered this question. You need to have real-time experience somewhere, real experience. I mean, a lot of these veterans talk about how civilians don't know anything. But the fact is that the military also has to engage somewhere. Otherwise, it will be mostly exercises and such like, So, it cannot only be that you just build up and you deter all the time. Sometimes you have to show your fangs as well. But let's see, I'm not a warmonger. Ideally, I don't want conflict because there's too much suffering there. But you have to be ready for anything. Okay. I think I've taken enough questions for today. I'm going to bring this session to an end. Thank you for those who supported us. Thank you for those who have joined in, subscribed. Please do spread the word about this. We are making this as regular as this can be. Jai Hind.